In this lesson, we will examine slopes of lines. To begin, we can define slope as the measurement of a line's steepness. Our goal is to assign a number that describes the slope of a line, such as this one. To do this, we will say that the slope of a line is equal to the ratio of its rise to its run. Now, rise is the vertical distance the line travels as we move from one point to another, and run is the horizontal distance the line travels. So in this example, let's travel from the point 0, -1 to the point 3, 1. To do this, we must rise 2 units vertically in the positive direction, and then we must run 3 units horizontally in the positive direction. Now let's continue to the point 6, 3. To get there, we rise another 2 units, and we run another 3 units. So the slope of this line is equal to 2 over 3, since the rise here is 2 and the run is 3. Okay, let's look at another example. Once again, we will apply the formula slope equals rise over run, and once again we will choose some points on the line. So let's travel from the point 14 to the point 53. To do this, we first rise 1 unit vertically in the negative direction. So if we travel downwards, we are rising in the negative direction, and if we travel upwards, we are rising in the positive direction. Next, we must run 4 units horizontally in the positive direction. So here, when we travel from one point to another, our rise is -1 and our run is 4. This means the slope of the line will be -1 over 4, which is the same as -1/4. Now notice that the slope of this line is negative. So some lines will have a positive slope and others will have a negative slope. We will examine this shortly. Now at this point, we can take the idea that slope equals rise over run and generalize it as follows. Here we have a formula for finding the slope of a line given any 2 points on that line. Let's use this formula to find the slope of the line we just examined. Now 2 points on that line were 1, 4 and 5, 3. So first we'll let coordinates 1 and 4 be equal to x-coordinate 1 and y-coordinate 1, and then we'll let coordinates 5, 3 be equal to x-coordinate 2 and y-coordinate 2. From here we'll take the slope formula and plug in the corresponding values. When we simplify this, we get 1 over -4, which we can also write as -1/4. Now it's important to note that it doesn't make any difference which point you select as the first point and the second point. For example, we can let the point 1, 4 be assigned to x-coordinate 2 and y-coordinate 2, and then we can let the point 5, 3 be assigned to x-coordinate 1 and y-coordinate 1. When we do this, the slope between the 2 points works out to be -1 over 4, which is still the same as -1/4. Okay, now let's examine some important features involving slope. As I mentioned earlier, some lines have a positive slope and others have a negative slope. This particular line has a positive slope. In general, if a line has a positive slope, then a point traveling from the left to the right on the line will move upwards. Here's what I mean. As this point travels along the line from left to right, it moves upwards. Now here's an example of a line with a negative slope. If a line has a negative slope, then a point traveling from left to right on the line will move down. Another important feature about slopes is that horizontal lines have slope 0 and vertical lines have slopes that are undefined. Now for the next important feature, notice that the slope of this line is 1/2, the slope here is 1, and this line has slope 3. Notice that as the slope increases, the line gets steeper. Now let's examine some lines with negative slopes. The slope of this line is -1/3, the slope here is -2, and this line has slope -5. Here the lines become steeper as the slope decreases in value. Now in general, we can say that as the magnitude of the slope increases, the line gets steeper. Okay, let's summarize. In this lesson, we learned 2 related approaches for determining slope. We learned that slopes can be positive and negative, and we learned that as the magnitude of a slope increases, the line gets steeper.